My name is Robert Christopher Wayne Weathers. I live at 3102 Central Hill Road, Acre, Mississippi, 38841. I am under attack by what appears to be Scientology. So, this is what I have experienced. It appears that there is more space in the universe than humans can see. There are 11 dimensions. These dimensions reside within the particle itself. So, inside of the particles in which the universe consists of lie 11 dimensions. You can think of our third dimension as a shell. What we consider as the material universe is just a shell for another place. We have biology in this other place, 11 dimensional biology. When we die, we utilize this biology to have an afterlife. We are designed to survive in outer space. We literally fly through outer space. Scientology is the practice of utilizing this extra dimensional biology before we die. They remove it from themselves and they utilize technology and techniques to turn it into an upper dimensional vehicle. So there is an entanglement property that allows them to do this. If you remove organs or tissue or any kind of energy from within the particle, you are still entangled. You are still in this biology, no matter how far away it goes from you. So they like to remove brain tissue, especially brain stems, our thalamus, and our eyes, and they take it to a compound where they store biology. So they have little pods or little boxes in which they install this biology in. Then they install it into a wall or a storage system. And from there, they use electrodes and digital devices to link themselves, to interface themselves to the computer system. This is part of their hive mind technology. So first, it acts as a communication system. It allows them to communicate with each other and interact with each other in a digital landscape. Then it acts as a command center so they can access their upper dimensions or create surrogates. It's because of this entanglement property. We are still in this brain tissue, even though it's at a different location. We still experience it. What happens is, or from the observer's point of view, it looks as if though if a brain tissue is removed, space time in between you and the removed brain tissue shrinks. So the further away it goes, the more space time shrinks. You can't take energy from within the particle. The particle would be destroyed. So the universe or space time conforms to make sure this doesn't happen. So instead of energy leaving the particle, space time warps to maintain the distance of that energy to the particle. Okay, they use several types of technology other than their storage system. They also interface devices and sensors to our remaining biology. So they like to interface devices with their brain and central nervous system tissue. These devices first act as a phone service, so it allows you to see and hear other people in the hive. It records sensory perception information. So they have a device they call a PreserVision device, big box. It goes through the back of your head and it interfaces with your thalamus. And they give you a little screen and everything. So what you see and your visual processes of your brain stimulates this screen, and they record it. They can also isolate individual neurons and thought patterns and stimulate this brain tissue. So they can make you experience a memory, or they can make you experience a thought pattern. They can also stimulate the emotional center in your brain. They can make you feel pleasure, or they can make you cry. And they can also stimulate sexual organs. So they can have sexual relations with each other in the hive. They can make you hear and see things. And this technology also allows them to create surrogates. So it gives them the ability to drive other organisms beside themselves. They can drive humans, animals, insects, and worms in any dimension. So our extra dimensions, they form as layers. When energy flows from our third dimension into the next three dimensions, it creates a biology. It looks very human. And then it has to cross a boundary and flow into the next three dimensions. So it creates a layer on top of this biology that it forms. And then it flows into the next three and creates another layer, and so on and so forth. So Scientologists like to remove the whole thing from themselves, and then they cut it every three dimensions. They cut the layers off. They wind up with three or four biologies in outer space in which they can modify and drive. But these biologies can't function properly in this state. They are missing connections and organs. So organs and tissues have to go one way or the other. You can't just cut an organ in half and expect the whole thing or both biologies to function. So there's different styles of modification. So these Scientologists have to use organs and tissues from other humans and other species in an attempt to make themselves whole and function properly. So they use organs and tissues from other humans, from reptiles, from insects, and from worms. And they use this biology to modify their upper dimensionals into a functioning organism in which they can drive. They make several types of alien forms. They make blue bloods, they make greens, and there's the gray, which is a plain Jane, no modification. Then they make lizard people with lizard body parts. They also make insectoids with insect body parts. And then they make a worm people with worm biology. And because of this entanglement property, they can literally use just a piece of your brain and put it into another organism, give you the ability to drive that organism. So these Scientologists, they create and modify biologies, drive in outer space in the upper dimensions. And they have to use organs and tissues from donors, from other humans and other species to get this done. Yes, they are remote controlled. Aliens are remote controlled. Humans on Earth are driving aliens through the universe from a remote control location. And that is our afterlife. Aliens, aliens is a human afterlife being used before they die. So the Scientology community is extremely criminal. It is a criminal enterprise. First off, They steal body parts from other humans and other organisms to practice Scientology and to create surrogates. Then they like to do things like paparazzi people. They like to invade our privacy. They invade our homes and our businesses. They kidnap people. They force assimilation upon people. So if you have influence, power, or authority, they they will force you to assimilate so they can control your behavior or a special job. Uh, if you have an employment position that pertains to them or they desire in any way, they will force you to assimilate or attempt to control you uh, to force your behavior. They traffic humans for organ donors and for surrogate purposes and even for sexual purposes. Torture and rape is rampant among these people, and so is murder. They even use their upper dimensions as lookouts so they can see people coming and going from their homes and businesses. They can break in the third dimension, steal information or objects or modify the environment in some way. They like to use biological weapons, basically a bad organism that has been turned into a surrogate. So they have several species of parasites, big worms with teeth, that they drive through human beings as a weapon. They also use microbial life and viruses in the same manner. They can drive microbes and viruses through humans as well. They like to contaminate our food and water supply. They also use drones to drop payloads, and they can use like houseflies and insects and cats and dogs to spread parasites as well. So they can literally drive a housefly into your home and drop a payload into your drink using a housefly, or they break and enter and contaminate your food and water supply. They like to destroy our environment. First off, because of this entanglement property, because the the inverse or the extra dimensions is entangled to the third dimension, they like to remove the inverse from a location and take it somewhere remote. And that shrinks space time in between the location and the removed dimensions. So it literally puts your property at their desired location, and they can access your property from a remote location. They can do this to our homes, our land, our institutions, or our places of business. From what I have observed, they've done this to Washington and then my home. Then they just like to destroy our property uh, in an attempt to sabotage people, make them sick. We need to be in a healthy environment to function properly and to be healthy. We consume the air around us and our food and water. So Scientology has taken over our society. Every institution that has any value to our economics or our society in any way has been infiltrated by Scientology, or these people are practicing Scientology to gain an upper hand on the population and the markets. Radio companies, media companies, uh, internet companies, social media, tech companies, big businesses, the government, like politicians, the FBI, the CIA, and the military, the Department of Justice, the Department of Defense, they are all using Scientology, at least in the upper clearance levels. For one, for communication. Two, for modifying the environment. Three, for practicing. They use this upper dimensional technology to try to control the population. So, especially social media and marketing companies, they like to take brain tissue from the population or biology, and they have a compound where they have a storage system that houses the public's biology, and they do this in mass, so they can invade our privacy and they can read our thoughts. Marketing companies and media companies, they use this technology to invade people's privacy, read our thoughts, and try to sell us things, to try to increase consumerism. Internet ads, TV commercials, is they covet other people's body parts, other people's biology. To them, it is an object of great value. Either they utilize it in their Scientology practices, which is they modify their upper dimensions with it, or they create surrogates with it, or some institutions use our biology in an attempt to control us or gain entrance into our environment. These practices cause sickness and dysfunction and reduce our health. If you remove biology, especially brain tissue or organ tissue, it makes us sick, causes weakness and dizziness, pain. It reduces brain function, so we lose the ability to think as well. It stops our biology from processing information or processing energy properly. So, from what I have observed, the human genome produces an 11-dimensional humanoid with a head covering. It usually has horns. It has short arms and big hands. It has a soul tube and multiple uh, extra dimensional organs that we don't have in the third. We even have tubes coming out of our legs that expel waste. We are literally designed to fly through outer space and never walk again after we die. The head covering is to protect us from the elements. Outer space has some very extreme environments. So we are Anunnaki. That is our bloodline. And I don't think that aliens or extraterrestrials in ancient times somehow mated with us and gave us their DNA. From what from what I have observed, they modified us. Our extra dimensions, our dead people, and even Scientologists, our extra dimensions come with special abilities. We have very powerful eyesight, big old eyes. We can see in all dimensions, down to the molecular level. Fly, go anywhere in the universe. In a healthy environment with a healthy biology, we can even do magic or molecular transfer. We can move particles around with our eyes. And we can interact with a biology and modify biology in intimate ways, very complex ways. They can actually see genetic material, like DNA strands, and modify this genetic material to create features or to help us develop, grow. And in ancient times or in the past, these abilities were utilized to help life and other to help life on this planet grow and develop, especially humans. I think they helped us develop into Anunnaki. They modified our genetics in ancient times, and they created the bloodline of Anunnaki. And another ability that our extra dimensions have is they see time as it truly is. See, our third dimension see time as a linear event. See the days passing one after another after another. minutes, and hours. Time is actually a simultaneous event. Seconds, minutes, and hours are an illusion. The past, the present, and the future happen at the same time. So the beginning of the universe and the end of the universe happens simultaneously. And that's the way dead people see the universe. And they interact with the universe in this way. So my experience with Scientology started 13 years ago. I was a political activist on social media. There was a large group of people that participated in politics. Studied government. We studied laws. We discussed and studied elected officials, lawmaking, policy, environmental issues. We participated in elections and lawmaking and policy. I was also an author, so I write a lot. I create. I wrote Crazy Bird Comics. I wrote the Environment Creation Agency or Environmental Control Agency. I wrote Divine Currency or Buffalo Dollars, Alien Bob, Bug Bob, and several others. I wrote a lot. And I like to write little one liners or two liners or little paragraphs that is creative and provides insight to ideas. And I'm naturally philosophical. Well, I have Native American genetics. I descend from the Lakota people. So someone in Scientology decided to force me to assimilate. There were internet companies, or business companies. It comes from these people were out west, internet tech companies. So they installed technology and they started invading my privacy. And they started communicating with me uh, through various means. I told them to get away from me to stop doing that. They told me how to do my job, when I could take breaks. So I told them to get away from me and stop doing that. And then a bunch of people came. The whole hive mind swarmed on me. I started hearing voices, seeing things. They were hostile, extremely mean, demeaning, and they threatened my life and my liberty. Eventually, I started yelling at them. Well, the communication went away, but it became apparent that that the population was invading my privacy, that everyone could see into my environment. They started stealing my intellectual property and the things that I was working on and studying. Then I became very ill. Yes, people like or people that wrote magazine articles, uh, people that wrote podcasts, even entertainment professionals and other media creators, media content creators. Then I became very ill. I could feel foreign objects inside of my head, stuck in my ear, in my head, my face, and my neck. So I started going to the hospital, getting scans done, trying to figure out what it was. They didn't see anything, but I could feel them inside of me. My whole head warped. I got a lazy eye. My eye drooped down. My head swelled up. Communication grew worse and worse and worse. So these people in the world that were invading my privacy harassed me on a daily basis through their employment, through their media creation. So on one hand, they would steal my ideas and my literature and then turn around and then harass me at the same time. As time went on, communication grew worse and I felt more ill. They stole more and more intellectual property. And then one day I started seeing things and hearing voices again. They were trying to say that I've done something wrong, but somehow excused their criminal behavior towards me. They forced me to assimilate. Then they started stealing biology. So they got to witness me write my intellectual property. They've seen it of great value. It was both of personal value and monetary value to these people. So they actually gained intelligence, became smarter, gained knowledge, and they got to experience how I think and how I create and write. So they tried to steal brain tissue and utilize it for transplant purposes, for their own biology and surrogate purposes. So they literally, as time went on, they literally cut me to pieces. And then they showed me that I had worms. So they tortured me with parasites the entire time this has been going on as they stole biology. So some of my biology is being utilized as transplant purposes, especially brain tissue. Some of it is on surrogates. Some of it is interfaced with devices, and some of it is being used for torture devices. So there's an entanglement property. You're still in this biology, even if it's removed from you. They have some of it down in a hole, locked out of entropy, full of chemicals and foreign objects and torture devices. So they literally try to harness my ability to create, my literature, my psychology. They want to drive. So these Scientologists have an addiction to this. They literally want to take over the life of another person. So these people that they force to assimilate. So first off, they try to take over these people's lives, and then if there's any value there, it ends up as a surrogate making process. So they literally turn some of these people into surrogates. If they are attracted to you in any way, or they value your life that much, they will turn you into a surrogate in which they can drive themselves in order to control your behavior or your influence on the world. So this technology that they use also elevates neurochemistry. So they run energy through their neurons and it stimulates neurochemical metabolism. That means it elevates neurochemicals. It elevates dopamine, norepinephrine, serotonin. It has an extremely narcotic-like effect upon the user. Plus, a lot of them are abusing substances at the same time. So this coupled with their conditioning to practice body parts, to covet other people's biology, and their criminal activity, it has led to some severely negative psychology and behavior in these people. They are psychotic and delusional. They are extremely irritable. So they get irritated easily and then become violent, extremely violent. They have addictive behavior. So they get addicted to ideas of the same thing over and over again. They are petty. They don't like seeing other people have pleasure or using, even functioning properly. If you are in their presence, they want to stop your biology from functioning properly. It is part of their conditioning. They are jealous. So they are jealous of people like me that can write and create, write literature. So they want to steal it for themselves. And then they're petty on top of that, so they want to stop me from being able to do it. They're greedy and machoistic. So this artificial stimulation of their biology, it also elevates hormones. So they can stimulate organs and glands in our endocrine system. And this elevates hormones like testosterone and things like oxytocin, estrogen, so on and so forth. They can actually turn themselves on, so they can stimulate digestion. So this started as forced assimilation, try to control me. Then it turned into intellectual property theft, exploitation, and they started selling seats to my phone service or my mind space to other Scientologists so they could just watch me think. Then it turned into biological theft. Then it turned into a snuff film. So it turned into a torture fest. And these people are they are torturers. They torture people. So they like to sit and watch me think and then assault me if I don't think properly, especially when it comes to their false narrative. So they're sitting here trying to manufacture evidence or scenarios and modify evidence that somehow casts me in a bad light or says I've done something wrong to somehow validate their criminal behavior towards me. They think this is going to get them off the hook when it's over with. Yeah, they think it's going to get them out of trouble if they have caught me doing something wrong, which is a lie. The only thing that I'm guilty of is petty drug use. They exacerbate. Most of the time that this has been going on, I've been under the care of a psychologist and psychiatrist. And then they like to subject me to their behavior as they're doing it. So as they're torturing me, they like to make me watch them do it to me. And then as they took more and more biology, they can actually stimulate and control some of my inner thinking. Yes, these are recent events. And they do little torture skits where they assault me and then harass me at the same time and make me watch it happening inside of my own mind. So I've got to take a like a backseat position to watching my own inner brain function as they harass me. And then they have multiple phone services in my brain. So there's multiple phones going on and different devices are recording different thought patterns. One person come over here and start assaulting me really bad and make himself look like the cops or the military or somebody. So and they do it bad, and then they start assaulting my family and my pets, and they make me all mad and self defensive, and makes me want to fight back. And they let other people watch on this side as I freak out on them and yell at them, and they're showing these people something different the whole time. Or that's some of uh, the things that I've experienced. Yes, aliens. Aliens are remote controlled organisms. Humans on Earth are driving the aliens. Scientology is violent. They hurt people. It usually turns into torture, rape, and murder. Then on top of that, they are murdering innocent people and calling it justice. So a lot of these people involved, the people in the hive mind, they're witnessing this happening and becoming extremely angry. They want justice to be done. They want something bad to happen to these people or they want them done away with, especially in the act of their violence. So these people are murdering innocent people, especially the people they have trafficked. For a long time, it turned into like, well, you're going to take one of ours, we're going to take one of yours, and this and that. They call them houses. They're constituents or they're surrogates. And on top of this, I suspect or I have evidence to believe that they are responsible for the corona outbreak. These people have the ability to drive other organisms. I think they are contaminating the public with parasites and viruses and microbes to in an attempt to hurt a lot of people. So these people are religious zealots. They have an occult like personality. They like to do seances and things where they torture people to death and send people to hell. Yes, acts of violence. Uh, and they use religion to justify it. So since they interact with the world, the universe, as uh, in a way in which time is simultaneous. So they went back in time and they drove my father to the hospital as he was giving me my name. My name is not supposed to be Christopher. It's supposed to be Robert Wayne Weathers. My dad named me Christopher so they could come back to the current time and then sell this whole event to Christianity and the rest of the public and call it a Christian martyrdom. Somehow justifies or somehow trying to justify their behavior or adding to uh, their narrative, in which somehow gets them off the hook for it. So, from what I have observed, the God in which Christianity has been observing is a Scientologist. They are very evil and hostile towards the population, and it all stems from their body snatching and surrogate making. So these Christians are literally worshiping and observing a God of wrath, a criminal in outer space, casts floods on people, sends plagues, and destroys off massive populations of people, and practices sending people to hell and martyrdoms, and then preaches an apocalypse that the end of the world is going to happen and that our environment is going to be destroyed. It's literally Scientology. That's what Christianity has been observing. Instead, people like me come along and try to save the world from these people, and they name us Christopher. It's a created religion. So my intellectual property is literally an attempt to save life on this planet, to help humans and other animals, and humans and the rest of the life on this planet develop again and start to evolve again, and at least become our optimal selves. So I want everybody to be highly intelligent, uh, highly moral, well fed, have good health, good homes, good environments, and I want that for all life on the planet. So yes, these people are here in the very this very moment. They are at my location, at my home, assaulting me and my family, stealing body parts and using torture devices and assaulting me. And they also have in their possession my extra dimensional biology. They are torturing me and my family and premeditating our deaths. My name is not supposed to be Christopher. That is that comes from their surrogate making process. Yes, these people are alive in the very moment. In ancient times, we didn't have to deal with this. We didn't have to deal with aliens in the afterlife in this manner. Since the 50s and 60s, this has been getting worse and worse and worse. Now they are trying to take over our society, or they have taken over our society, and they are playing God on us. So in the last 60 years, Christianity has been created just within the last 60 years. Who knows what else they're going to do? Probably the apocalypse. They're literally destroying our environments. Yes, these people are alive at the very moment, interacting with time, interacting with the universe as time doesn't exist. When they remove their extra dimensions from themselves and they take it towards the 11th dimension or away from us, they expand at a greater rate than we do on Earth. They become big compared to us. But you're barely there. You only consist of a few dimensions. Life is supposed to be whole. We are supposed to be whole from birth till death. And when we do die, we are supposed to take most of this with us. We're supposed to leave only the shell behind. The very outer layer of our biology. That's the only thing that gets left behind when we die. And we fly into outer space, almost as whole as we was when we were among the living, missing very little of ourselves. That is supposed to be the human experience. These people are chopping everybody to pieces. Anybody that is on social media or on the internet or that even has a TV in their room is in danger of uh, getting their body parts stolen. And just people in general, they pick random people from the public. They're doing this in mass. This God is garbage. They're criminals. These Scientologists are criminals. So they're trying to sell this to the public as some good thing, that something good has come from their criminal behavior, and it is not. I would have wrote the ECA and I would have tried to help this planet no matter what. Their involvement has hindered my development and my writing processes and has stopped a lot of good things from happening. They want to tag along to people's lives. They paparazzi people and try to take their shit, take control, and then take responsibility for it or claim responsibility. Yes, they're crackheads. Their technology and has a narcotic-like effect on these people. Plus, they're criminal. Crimes against humanity. They like to put their hands on people. They think that's okay. It would have happened without Scientology. We wouldn't even need to save the planet. Everyone would be doing good. Everyone would be healthy. Our environments would be whole. Life would be flourishing. There is nothing good comes from violent behavior. torturing people, raping people, and sending people to hell, that just adds to the chaos and the bad psychology of people. People are sick. I am weak, dizzy. I am missing a lot of brain function. Top of that, I get salted regularly. So they are abusing their powers of heaven, the ability to observe and interact with the biology. They're supposed to help us develop and grow and be healthy. They're using this for violence. First, they use it to practice Scientology, which is violent in nature, anyways. Dr. Kevorkian trade. Please get away from me. In his end argument, all I can say is, well, I'm God. Not in America, you ain't. It is a constitutional right that I do not have to be subjected to any religion or any violent force, any assault, or any interference with my life in any way. You're just a criminal, a big ass criminal, and a stupid one at that. Was nice trying to. So they don't like to fix me or help me in any way. So they got me filled with worms and foreign objects in which they could easily take out, but they don't. They leave them in to cause me pain and suffering. Put my biology somewhere safe and get away from it. Yes, there is. And get away from it. Yes, dead people, they leave this world with most of their biology. I mean, with most of everything from birth till death, we are whole. Even in death, our Nunakais, they take everything with them. They leave the outer shell. They leave barely anything behind. So these Scientologists, they chop people to pieces. So, well, this is the desired organism right here, a lizard people or an alien form that's missing dimensions and body parts and has uh, shit sewn onto him to keep him functioning properly, and a stick shoved up his ass so he can have biochemical electricity because he's missing homeostasis. Yes, this motherfucker's playing God on us, and he's a goddamn Scientologist. They cut people to pieces.